Dude, we got to talk about this Cleveland Browns team. All right. I think this is one of the toughest games out there. So this was another one. We discussed it Sunday night. We were in agreement. You take a small position on Tennessee at 4.5, and then you sort of made a bigger decision depending on what happened with Cleveland.
Yeah.
And then sort of everything that happened with Cleveland actually makes this murkier, right? Like this game potentially deflates their entire season. Their $230 million guaranteed quarterback gave the game away in multiple ways. Their best offensive weapon is done for the year, we think. They lose as favorites on the road in a game they easily could have won to go 2-0 for the first time since 1993. We lose on a bad beat. They lose on a bad play. Here's a great stat that Anthony DeBundo, who's one of our analysts covering just about every single sport there is, gave me during our Green Dot Daily production meeting this morning. In 2 games, opponents have yet to run a play in the Browns' red zone. It's fucking wild. What do we do with this game? It's Mike Vrabel, the only coach in the NFL the past 20 years with a winning record as an underdog.
Yeah, this is a really tough one. Obviously, like you said, we already have a position on Tennessee, but I'm gonna throw that away as if I have nothing on it, and the value is gonna shift to the Browns. Like it's just like the Lions. If this number gets 2.5, I'm gonna have to do it. I'm probably gonna have to take the Browns here, but man, it's totally what you just said, where it's like Tennessee 3.5. I would love that number because it just feels like two teams with really, really strong front fours. So like defensively, I really like Tennessee to shut down what the Browns are going to do on the ground. And we've seen it. If the Browns can't get the run game going and they put it all on Watson, that's usually a disaster. So, man, really do wish this one was still 3.5 because I would have loved Tennessee here, but they're going to be probably the most public dog of the week, if I had to guess. Like,
Yep.
it's just going to be a team that the pros like, the public like together. The books are going to need the Browns badly. So if it gets to 2.5, that's where the value is going to be. So this number, you know, I don't know how much Nick Chubb is worth to it, the line, but it was probably half a point. So that's why I'm hoping it does go down to 2.5. So another game, not much to do with, probably going to have to end up on the Browns, but another game I just kind of hate where it's like I don't like going against Vrabel, and I feel like you kind of nailed. And you said both, but this game really decides both these teams' seasons in the sense that if you're 2-1, you're still like, okay, we can win our division, we can make a nice run in the playoffs. If you're 1-2, that's where a lot of doubt starts creeping on a certain team. So, if I'm talking about a mentally weak team, it's going to be the Browns compared to Tennessee. Like Tennessee, I think that was their first win in 9 weeks, going back to last season last week. And that was a perfect Vrabel game, right? They just never gave up in that Chargers game. They kept fighting. They held the Herbert in that offense to a position where they're able to get the field goal, go to overtime. And if you're taking Tennessee, you're banking on Tannehill having back-to-back good games, and that's a lot to ask. So, yeah, another game where I'll just wait for the line to move. We already talked about the money, the pros, everybody is going to be coming on Tennessee. So if you want Tennessee, you should grab the 3 now because I do think this is going to drop to 2.5.
Uh, Here's something else to make us even more confused. You and I both love the luck rankings. This is one of the top 4 luck ranking differential games in favor of the Browns, meaning
Yeah,
the
they've been
indicator
unlucky.
is to play the Browns. Um, oh my God, this is just it's so hard. I agree with you. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
it's really
play this
hard.
game. I'm gonna play this game as if like if it gets 2.5, put on my line alerts for the Action Network app and hope that I can be awake when it happens because sometimes this stuff happens overnight when nobody's paying attention. I will say Tannehill hasn't been horrible when he's healthy. I mentioned before
No.
20 or 24 last week against the Chargers and playing fairly well so far this year. The challenge for them is their offensive line is awful. And, you and I last week did our YouTube only favorites film session in which we picked out plays that sort of impacted our bets from the previous week, but also gave us something to think about going into the next week. And mine is going to be about the Titans protecting Tannehill and how that's messing with my head for this game. Cause I do think that's a big deal, right? Like that Browns defense, they're still healthy and they're fucking awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's just all the stats. Again, we don't need to go through them all, but the D line has been playing incredible. If they just simply on offense, if Watson had just handed the ball off the entire game, I think they would have won that game. But starting the game off with a pick six, it's just, the Browns team in a whole, they're the kind of team that they're built for a lead. If they get a lead on you, this Browns team will be unbeatable just because with that pass rush, it's going to be impossible to come back against them. But yeah, it's a hard pill to swallow, Chad. It's like we knew what this Browns team was going to be. The big question was Watson, and we're starting to figure out what Watson is now, which is not a top 10 quarterback.
No, not a top 10 quarterback. I was off on that. I admit it. I feel like this game, it's the system Super Bowl. And what I mean by that is, right, you've got like Vrabel and all the numbers telling us how amazing he is. You've got all the numbers telling us how it like a short dog is not great at this time of year. We've got the luck rankings telling us we got to take the Browns. We've got like the fact the Browns are coming off such a bad spot. We know the Titans are going to be a public play.
Right.
Like everything is meeting at a collision point right now, and we're going to have to make a really hard decision.